Today, we are going to learn how
Welcome
to
aboard.
create a video
We're thrilled
in
to
which
have
the
you join
user
us
can
at
make
Panda
choices.
Corporation.
These
You're
choices
now
will
part of a
influence
team
the
that
rest of the
believes in
video.
innovation,
This is what we
collaboration,
call
and
video
making a
branching.
real impact.
In this example,
What would
we
you
have
like
an
to explore
onboarding
next?
video for new
Option
employees
1.
with an avatar
Meet
that will
the
present
teams.
different content.
Get to know our
The
department.
user is
and the
invited to
awesome...
choose the
Now
next
that
part
you're
of
on
the
board,
video
let's
and to
introduce you
navigate
to the
through this
amazing team
navigation
that
menu
keep our
to the
organization
content that
running
interests
like a
them
well-oiled
most.
machine. To help you hit the ground running, we've set you up with
I
all
have
the...
created a new project in a 16:9 format, in which I have already prepared my graphic elements that I will need: the home button, the play button, and my little video thumbnails that will serve as buttons. Let's create a new screen. This new screen will be my introduction screen. Beforehand, I am going to prepare my content. I have cut my video into several segments. Each segment corresponds to a scene, so my video is split into several sub-videos. In my files, I already have the onboarding video, the team video, the tools video, as well as images that represent them, which I will use in my little thumbnails. On the first screen, I add my first video by simply dragging and dropping it, and I'm using the tools and options in the interface to make it full screen. In the properties of my video, I have the ability to set it to autoplay and to show or hide the player controls. I choose not to display the player controls and no autoplay for this first video, since some browsers may block the playback of videos when it's the first video in order to protect users from the intrusive use of video or audio ads. So, on this first screen, I set my video to full screen without controls, but I will use my play button, which will be positioned in the center of my screen to start the video. This button is created using a multi-state component with a first state that displays the button and a second state where the button disappears. On this first state, I will add an action that allows me to start my video using the Interact with a Component action. This video lasts about 15 seconds. The goal is that after a certain point, when the woman starts mentioning the idea of making a choice in the rest of the video, these choices will appear so that the user can click on the buttons at the bottom, on the left and right sides of the screen. To do this, I prepare my elements. To have this transition with my elements appearing, I will first place them on my screen. I will use the thumbnails I have prepared and position them outside of my screen, off stage. To trigger this animation and transition, I will use states. So, inside my introduction screen, I have a first state that is automatically created. I will create a new link state in which these elements will appear above the video. A transition will automatically be created with the position change of these video thumbnails. Now, what I need to create is actually the time marker that will allow me to trigger this transition at the chosen moment in the video. To do this, I select my video. I go inside it, and then, using my cursor or directly with my markers, I carefully choose the right moment. By clicking on the button, I will create a brand new video marker called Display Choice. I know that it's approximately or roughly around 12 seconds in length, and then after that, I exit my video. On state number 1, I will go into my actions and add a new action that will occur at the trigger event associated with this marker. That is to say, at 12 seconds into my video, I can trigger something. So, I will select this trigger event, and as the action, I will choose the change state action to make this second state appear. Let's save and preview instantly. Let's watch the video up to those 12 seconds. This marker should trigger the display of these thumbnails. So, you can clearly see these thumbnails appearing with the play button. Oops, this button was forgotten during creation, so I will make sure it disappears properly. You can see I already have hover effects that appear on the thumbnails. Now, what I'm going to do is create the action that will allow me, by clicking on each button, to redirect to the correct navigation screen. Let's go back to my screen. I'm going to figure out what happened on my state number 2. I see in my state number 2 that actually, since there's a default marker on my button, I'm definitely going to go ahead and disable it. Now, what I'm going to do next is carefully create my Teams and Tools screens, along with the corresponding videos, so that I can then redirect the user based on their choice, essentially just guiding them based on what they select. Let's create a new screen. Rename it Teams. And another screen that is renamed Tools. Let's select each screen and add the right video. This one I can set to autoplay since it's not the first video. And for Tools, I'm going to do the same thing. Autoplay. Next, I just need to create the actions. These redirect actions, these buttons, I can create them directly from state 1. By inheritance, the actions I create on state 1 will appear on state 2. I select my first button for Teams. Let's add an action associated to the single tap click event, and the action go to the corresponding screen. And for Tools, I'm going to do the same thing. As I mentioned, by inheritance, if I go to state 2 and select these elements, I see the action is properly set up. Now you need to consider the navigation. It's up to you to choose how users will navigate throughout videos in this onboarding video. Will choices be appearing at a certain point in the video like the first one? Do you want a fixed menu available on each screen to display all video sequences in a pop-up? In our example, we're going to create a fixed menu. So, to do this, we're going to add a foreground layer. Let's leave the first foreground state empty. I'll create a new foreground state where I'll add my navigation icon and pop-up. Let's position it in the top left corner for clarity. When clicked, now, this is really a navigation and UX choice. I'm going to choose to display a pop-up that presents all the options. So, to do this, I'll start by copying and pasting my thumbnails. Back to the foreground layer. In the foreground layer, let's add a pop-up from the components list. Let's place the interactive area above my button. And I'll double-click or click on it to edit the content of my pop-up. In my pop-up, I'll put my thumbnails back in. I'm even going to add a third one that corresponds to the home screen. I make sure my elements are renamed correctly. And I also make sure that the redirects go to the right place. Back to the actions. Of course, this copy redirects to the team screen, so I can change this direction. Team screen, we're good, and tools screen, we're good. Next, I just need to apply this foreground layer to the right screen. On the introduction screen, I can choose which foreground appears. Here it will be the blank foreground, so navigation element won't appear. However, on the team screen, I'm going to add this second foreground, and I'll do the same on the tools screen. Let's delete this first screen since I no longer need it, and I suggest we take a look at the result together. There you go. You now know how to create a branching interactive video with PandaSuite. Try it out. Explore the different creative possibilities and don't hesitate to check our documentation to go even further. Once it is ready, you can publish it for the web, as a mobile app for iOS and Android, or even as an interactive display.